This week we saw the first ever Firefighters headlining tour, their mascot reveal, and they played against the newest team, the Texas Tailgaters.
And we break down a heated moment between the party animals and the bananas.
All of that and more on this week's Banana Breakdown. Welcome to the Banana Breakdown podcast. Whether it's player interviews, weekly breakdowns of the games, or post-game live streams, we love to talk about all things banana. Okay, so the Firefighters had some really cool stuff at their home game. I mean, right around the home plate, they had drawn with the chalk, but it was red. They drew some flames around the circle of home plate.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. Yeah, this was the first headlining tour of for the Firefighters. They had two home games in Richmond, Virginia, and it was two awesome games.
Yeah, it was really cool to see. There were so many things that they were able to add with the ethos of the Firefighters with their mascot reveal. They have a new Dalmatian bat dog, ton of other fun things, but also just seeing the Firefighters and the Tailgaters face off for the first time is so cool to watch.
Yeah, I was rewatching some of the games today, and my 2-year-old loved the Dalmatian bat dog. It would come on, and he, in those moments, I was watching the some of the highlights, and he just wanted to see the dog again and again. So that was a big hit. The 2-year-olds love the dogs.
Yeah, and I think that was one where we were kind of confused as to why there wasn't a Dalmatian as the mascot, but then when you see the bat dog, it makes sense.
Yeah, there were a lot of people on Instagram when it was revealed that the new mascot was going to be a beaver. Some people were confused. Why is it not a Dalmatian?
Yeah, I mean, I saw that it was a beaver, and I was very confused. I had no idea what was going on with that.
Are beavers known to fight fires? I don't know.
I was looking through the comments, just trying to figure out what was going on, and some people were saying that they're called the firefighters of the forest because of they make dams and they do all the stuff breaking down wood. So because of that, they're a natural firefighter, and it's probably the closest next thing after a Dalmatian that is linked to firefighting.
That's a good point. I had heard that before. That makes a lot of sense. When they build their little dams, they're clearing out the underbrush so that there's not. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Shout out to beavers.
Yeah,
good job fighting fires in the natural way. Good job.
Yeah, and the new mascot is Bo the Beaver is his name. And I actually thought there was something really interesting about this. So on Instagram, they have an official account, just like they do with Split and Farty. But they had on his face next to the reveal, they have his signature. And it's he makes a little beaver face. So it's the B and the O. He draws an I in the B and the O and makes the beaver teeth. And it was very reminiscent of a classic Disney cast member signature at Disneyland. So you get some of those Disney characters. And I was just thinking that they're laying the groundwork of Bo the Beaver and Split and Farty being a big part of the future of Banana Ball and having kids meet them. And I love the idea of planning the autograph from the get-go like that.
What character is it? Are they all like that? I don't know much about Disneyland
signatures. I mean, it's just they all have an iconic signature, but
I see what you mean.
Yeah, so they're with the Disneyland signatures, they're very specific of each character signs it in a different way, and it's very clearly their name, but then they add in certain things like a little paw print for Pluto or whatever the case may be. But it was just really cool where it's not just a scribble of the word Bo. It's if he's going to sign your shirt, he's going to make this little thing that you immediately can know that's his signature.
Well, there's actually some cool ones, not to get too off topic, but with the autographs that we got from players, some of the players have been really intentional about how that looks. One that just came to my mind is Matt Wolf's. He's number 4, and so he turns the F of Wolf at the very end to look like a number 4. So it's
that's awesome.
Just kind of cool. He just writes Wolf and then the 4. So I don't know. It's cool when they do that. Maybe one day I'll have a cool autograph. I'll have to think really hard about that one.
Yeah, maybe someday. But yeah, Ryan Cox was one that comes to mind as well, where he'll do his signature and then he puts the little smiley face that he sometimes has in face paint on his face in the autograph, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool. Can't wait to get Bo's autograph sometime.
So with the Firefighters and Tailgaters, they played 2 games. There was sold out crowd, 9,000 people at each game. Pretty crazy that they were able to sell it out when the Savannah Bananas aren't there and not the party animals either. So the Firefighters played 15 to 20 games last year, and the Tailgaters are a brand new team. So like being able to sell it out is a really exciting thing and a really good showing for the future of Banana Ball.
Yeah, I was really impressed by that. That it's completely sold out. So banana ball is growing as a sport, and it's not solely attached to the bananas. And people just love banana ball for banana ball, and so they're excited to see the firefighters and the tailgaters.
Yeah, and something that was super cool is like watching the last couple weeks when the party animals had their headlining game, there was a lot of pink out in the stands. Very little yellow, but there was some. When I watched the firefighters tailgaters game, there was so much red and then some blue. And it was
Yeah,
really cool to see where, hey, you're going to this game. Maybe you've heard about the Savannah Bananas, but in your area, it's just the firefighters and tailgaters. So you go to the game, and now you're becoming a huge fan of the firefighters and tailgaters, and they have the pop-up tents to sell their merch. And so then you go buy those jerseys, and now you're growing the brand of the firefighters even further, which is really cool.
yeah, we've become fans of all the teams. You can see I'm actually wearing a firefighters hat right now, and Brandon's wearing a tailgaters hat. Uh, yeah, so people are starting to really love those teams, and it's just going to keep growing as they add more teams next year, which I am so excited about.
Yeah, I can't wait. The fact that it's already been growing so much this year with the fourth team, with trying these football stadiums, growing the MLB stadiums, like next year with the new teams is just going to be absolutely incredible. And the fact that now you're building up the firefighters and tailgaters so they can have these home games where they're selling out the crowds, they can then play against the new team, and the firefighters are a draw while you teach about the new team, and the tailgaters are a draw while fans get to know the other team, just like the bananas and the party animals are.
One thing that I found interesting is Jesse Cole was at the Firefighters versus Tailgaters game. So he was not at the
Yep.
Bananas Party Animals in Grayson Stadium. And the young professor was also at the Firefighters Tailgaters game. And so I just think that's really obviously that's an intentional choice. Jesse is trying to build the brands of
Mm-hmm.
firefighters and tailgaters right now. So he's there to try to get that rolling because there's no point of him just being in Savannah right now. That's kind of it's running smoothly over there. So yeah, the brands are being built. It's very intentional, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, and I love seeing Jesse Cole in that role because it's he is the one that's leading the charge. He's got the culture down so well between the bananas and the party animals, leading these teams on, being able to train them up in the same way is cool to see. And he was on there for the party animals headliners as well. He was at those games. So just really being intentional with that. And I can't remember which player it was or what they did. It might have been one of the players getting 3 strikeouts in an inning or doing a cool trick play or something. But the camera panned to them as they were coming back in the dugout, and like Jesse Cole like gave him a quick hug, pat on the back of like good job, like you're doing a great job, you're promoting the sport. Like he was so excited to see what they had done, and it was just a really cool candid moment to catch on camera.
Yeah, I'm sure he was so excited. There was a lot to cheer about in those games. They
Yes.
were really fun
Yeah.
games. So yeah, let's break down the games. So the series, there's a 2-game series. The Tailgaters ended up taking the first game, while the Firefighters took the second game. So now the Firefighters have 2 wins. So
There
that's
we go.
that's exciting. But yeah, did anything stand out to you in those games?
I think overall it was just the quality and the quantity of the trick plays. Like it felt like they both were happening more, but also they felt so much more confident. And one of the coolest trick plays that I remember seeing was a 3 trick double play. So they were able to, it was something like between the legs, throws it to second, behind the back, throws it to first, bare hand catch.
Yeah.
And it was only the second time in banana ball history that that's happened. But that was just such a cool one. And that was the firefighters that pulled that off. So new team on the block. They're doing their first headlining game, and they were out to show it.
Yeah, that's something that stood out to me too. I felt like there were a lot of trick plays that I hadn't seen before in
Yeah.
this series. Just when we talked to Sunshine in our interview, he mentioned uh, again, go check that out. He mentioned the different types of trick plays where it's
Mm-hmm.
like quick and ground and air and smooth. And there was a lot more ground trick plays that I noticed. At least that's what stood out to me, where they're like bouncing the ball around and uh, yeah, just a lot of cool stuff like that. Where I was just it's just stuff that I haven't seen before, and it's cool how the different players, because they have different talents and different backgrounds, they're doing trying new trick plays that all trick plays are impressive, but when you see the same thing over and over again with the bananas and party animals, they kind of have things that they do and they've kind of nailed down. The firefighters and tailgaters come in and they start to do stuff that you've never seen before, and you're like, holy cow, that's amazing.
Yeah, for sure. And don't worry, we're going to get to the little bit of a drama between the party animals and Savannah Bananas here in a second. But one other thing I did want to highlight was the firefighters, when they were able to hit walk-off home runs for the inning, that was so cool to watch. Just the excitement on the players' faces as they were rounding the base, because a home run is an exciting moment for a baseball player. It's one of the top tier things that you can pull off. But doing that as a walk-off is even better. So they were able to then come around the bases. The crowd is going nuts for them, and all the players are there waiting at home plate, and it's just such a cool celebration. And you see that with the bananas. The bananas get to have those cool moments. We just got to see the party animals got to have there with the headlining, but like having these home games for the other teams and having those walk-off moments, that shows a huge part of what banana ball is and why it's special, is those walk-off moments that happen multiple times a game.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that really stood out to me too. The firefighters are getting so excited. One more thing I wanted to point out for this series. The first game actually broke the record for most fan caught foul balls. Uh, fan caught foul balls in a game, which is funny because last week that we just broke that record. So
Yeah.
now it got broken. There were 6 fan caught foul balls in game 1
Yep.
of that series, and one that was just hilarious was a Tailgaters fan caught one, and it was the third out of the inning.
Against a Tailgaters batter.
Yes. So he caught one against the Tailgaters batter. So that was the Tailgaters' third out of the inning, and he's wearing a Tailgaters jersey, is all decked out, and the firefighters.
He has the cowboy hat too. He was decked out in Tailgaters merch.
But he catches it, and the firefighters go out there, and they put a fireman's hat on him, and bring him out onto the field. And so it's just this really funny moment where he's wearing his Tailgater stuff, but he's wearing the fireman's cap now, and the firefighters are celebrating with him. And who knows, maybe that guy's a Firefighters fan now.
I bet he probably bought a jersey or a shirt after that. But yeah, I think it was Bo the Beaver's fireman's hat
that's what it was.
They put on his head. So it was like comically large.
Yeah.
And it was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was an awesome moment. All right, one more thing.
Yeah.
This series really was awesome. Super excited for the Tailgaters and the firefighters, but just wanted to share one hilarious moment. So Matt Wolf, he was pitching, and he does all these trick pitches, which it's got to be so frustrating as a batter, especially when you grow up your whole life and you're not allowed to do that in regular baseball as a pitcher. That's a balk, and you get to take a base, and you've got to. It's very strict with the movements that a pitcher can make.
Yeah, and a bit of context with that really quick. So it's like he's doing things like he's making the pitching motion, and then he's like flipping the ball up and then throwing it, or like doing the motion but then spinning around in a circle and then throwing it. And I totally agree. You see the batters like go like this, and then they have to reset, and they're just completely thrown off.
Yeah, going. So it's actually would be extremely frustrating as a batter. But on this one, he's doing a crazy like cartwheel, backhand spring type thing. He like runs off to the side, and he does it, and he goes to throw when he lands, and he just nails the batter. It was hilarious. I was laughing so hard when I saw it, and the batter, he's laughing hysterically as well. And so it was just a funny moment of there's so much lead up to this.
Yes.
It's like, is it going to be this nasty pitch? Is it going to be so impressive? No, he just nailed him in the back.
Yeah, it was pretty funny to watch. I thought for a second he might be like pitching from like third base or like the middle of the side there, but no, it was pretty impressive seeing him run up there. But yeah, he's the one that's in the rodeo clown barrel. So they like roll him out to the mound in that. He can do like a backflip off of it, and he just does these crazy, crazy things. But also, I don't know if I missed something with that, but his jersey on the back this week had an exclamation mark. I need to go back and see. I don't remember. I thought he had a number before. But yeah, because he had number 4.
It
Because
was
you
just
said
an X. I didn't notice that.
it was an exclamation mark. And his jersey, it looked like the fire on the bottom of the jersey was like up higher on his. It was super interesting that he had a different jersey. But yeah, it was just an exclamation
I
mark.
swear he was number 4. Am I crazy?
We'll have to go back and look, but if you saw that in the autograph, I don't think he was an exclamation mark until this game.
Is he gonna change his signature?
Just that the F becomes an
Yeah,
exclamation mark at the end.
maybe. Yeah, that's crazy. We're gonna have to go back and look at all of that.
But enough about the firefighters and tailgaters.
Yes.
I think it's about time.
Let's get this hat off. I love the firefighters, but
let's jump into the party animals and the Savannah Bananas.
My first love, party animals.
But just high level for this weekend, you come into it, and I don't know how many games at this point, but it was somewhere around 10, 11, 12 games that the party animals had won against the Bananas in a row in Grayson Stadium. They're on this.
I think it was 10.
Yeah, just this crazy streak going into it. The Bananas had much more success playing against the tailgaters and firefighters, kind of getting some momentum back. But then they're back in Grayson Stadium, and then the rest is history. Yeah, the first 2 games ended as expected. The party animals came out swinging. They won 5-3 in game 1, and they won 3-2 in game 2, and continued out their lead against the Bananas, and especially in Grayson Stadium.
Yeah, so that ended up, those 2 games made it so they're going into the final game on a 10-game winning streak against the Bananas in Grayson Stadium. And we've talked about this before. It's really obvious that the party animals feel very comfortable there. It's technically the home stadium of the Bananas, but it's pretty much it's the home stadium of the party animals too.
Well, and totally, but like also I hadn't like put this together with the topic of home stadiums, but like the party animals have their dugout at Grayson Stadium. It's decked out with party animals.
Yeah.
They've got their logo, they've got their specific lockers. So like when the tailgaters and firefighters are playing, they're using the Bananas and party animals lockers. So like it feels just as much at home for the party animals as it does for the Bananas, from even just the locker room and dugout and all of that.
Yeah, and it's home in the sense that the guys live there, and they're roommates with each other, all this stuff. Like Grayson Stadium is home, Savannah is home, and so it's a home game for basically both of them. But the Bananas get the benefit of it being a home game for them, with them, batting at the bottom of the inning. Anyway, so let's fast forward to the 9th inning.
Yep.
There's some drama here.
Well, before we get to the drama, to set it up, the Bananas were having a fantastic game. Noah Nisnik was the starting pitcher for the Bananas, pitched 5 innings, something like 5 strikeouts. He only gave up like 1 hit, or so there was some crazy stuff there.
No runs.
Yeah, and so they were up going into the 9th inning, 5-0, a lot off the back of Noah Nisnik's pitching. So shout out to him for an incredible start to the game, putting the Bananas in a really good spot to get into the 9th inning.
Yeah, so the Bananas are up 5-0 going into the 9th. So it looks like they've pretty much they figured it out, and they're gonna go home with win.
So Danny Hosley's on the mound. He gets 1 out really quickly for the Bananas, and then there's a runner on base. So 1 out with a runner on base. Jake Skoll comes up to bat, and I'll let Sammy take it from here.
And you know what Jake Skoll does. He hits a 2-run home run. And he is pumped up. It's now 5-2, and we got ourselves a game.
Yep.
Let's see if the party animals can get a rally here. But yeah, Jake Skoll, he's pumped up. He's feeling it, and the party animals have some momentum. And so Danny Hosley is able to get another out, and now Tanner Thomas comes up to the plate. And this at bat was a war.
Yes.
11 pitches.
Mm-hmm.
Tanner Thomas is fighting for his life. Again, it's 2 outs now, so he needs to keep this game going, and he just keeps fouling it off. It's a full count, 3-2, and he just keeps on fouling it off. And finally, he gets the pitch that he wants, and he hits a bomb and a solo home run. Now it's 5-3, and what are you thinking right here as a Banana fan? Are you nervous, or do you still think that the game is secure?
I was definitely getting a little bit more stressed in the moment and also just excited because I love close games on either side. But having the two outs and having nobody on base, there's still a sense of security for the
Yeah.
Bananas because in order to win, you have to get another runner on and to then get both of them home. So there was still like, it wasn't a super close game at this point, especially with only one out left, but it was getting a little tense there.
And then I'm sure you got a little bit more nervous when the party animals invoked the golden batter rule and brought out Jake Skull.
As they should have.
Yeah, so again, Jake Skull, earlier in the inning, he hit a 2-run home run to kind of start this rally, and now here he is as the golden batter.
Yeah, and then this one was a little bit similar, not as intense as the Tanner Thomas one, but it was a battle. It was back and forth, lots of pitches,
Yeah, it ended up being a full count, and
and then Danny Hosley threw his nasty changeup, swing and a miss from Jake Skull, strike three. Bananas win. Streak is broken. Curse
oh
is
man.
broken. Excitement erupts, or did it?
Some tensions flared. Yeah, so it seemed like Jake Skull had some words for Danny Hosley here, and then Danny Hosley uh, shouted some things that we can't say on this podcast.
And the biggest problem there is just poor cameraman, like right at the like try to get on Danny for a celebration and mouthing some words, and it was really big on his face and very clear. And so there was a lot of like comments in the live chat of like, what's going on? Like, what's the tension like? And so then Biko and Josh, the broadcasters, are kind of like, okay, we're going to fill you in a little bit on what's going on. And they did a phenomenal job covering what happened. But
Well,
you,
it was a hilarious moment for me because obviously, like, it's a really heated moment. These guys have been playing against each other for so long. They know each other, and the party animals have really taken it to the bananas for a while. And
yeah,
so there's some built up frustration there for Danny Hosley. It's like, finally, I closed it out, but then now Skull is going to say stuff to me. Like, I can see why that's frustrating. But everyone knows that at the end of a banana ball game, the winning team does a dance. And so there's this heated moment, and the bananas are coming and pushing Danny Hosley away to just start dancing. And it's like, you don't see this anywhere, guys. This is classic banana ball. You would not see this at the end of an MLB game, obviously, or any other professional sport. This heated movement getting him away. You're just trying to get to the locker room in that moment. No, you go into the middle of the field to do a dance. Just it was awesome. It was just so funny.
yeah, and like so we saw on the video of the live stream some of the players like corralling Danny a little bit away. We didn't, at least I don't remember seeing Jake Skull in that moment, but the broadcasters said that it was like Reese Hampton or
Yeah.
someone came and kind of like, come on, let's go back to the dugout, like take
Yeah,
a
and they
moment.
were
And
saying the party animals were chirping at the bananas while they were dancing, so everyone was kind of getting in on it. Uh, I've loved this. I'm not gonna lie. I'm sure there's some parents who are a little disappointed because they're watching it with their kids, and or if you're there, like this is
yeah,
supposed to be family friendly fun or whatever. I can see why that's, and you probably agree with that sentiment. But for me, I just thought it was hilarious. And it shows that these guys really care about the game. They really
yeah,
want to win. And so these guys are fired up. This is a real sport. This is not scripted. These people are really competitive, and these players want to win more than anything. Like, there's the stuff that they do, the dances and all that. That stuff is scripted. But when it comes down to it, they want to win the banana ball game. And I think the party animals really wanted to win that last game in Grayson Stadium this season. I think they
yeah.
won the overall series. They won the majority of the games there, but I think it meant a lot. I mean, it meant a lot to the bananas that they were able to go out on top. The
Yeah.
party animals really wanted to win that, so it was just an extra tense game.
Yeah, and that's something we talked about a little bit before of like the fact that these guys are so close actually heightens the tension where like they have a closer like bond and friendship off the field than I think some of the other sports have, but they also have that built-in tension because when you're playing, a sport with your brothers,
Yep.
you get much more fired up. There's much more tension.
Pushed my
than
brother into a car once playing pickup basketball in the driveway. I pushed him into my dad's truck. Now, obviously, it wasn't moving. He's fine. But I got so mad.
That was a good little asterisk there. Thank
Yeah,
you for
it
adding
was
that.
not a moving car. My brother is fine.
Yeah, but like, so you see some of this tension. Biko and Josh called it out on the broadcast that Jake Skoll and Danny Hosley have had this rivalry for 3 world tours now. So they've been going at it. Jake Skoll is definitely the best hitter. Danny Hosley is one of the top pitchers on the Bananas, and he has been for the past couple years. So like, they have this rivalry. Danny Hosley's a closer. He comes in those moments. Jake Skoll like thrives on those moments. So like, you get this back and forth, and again, yeah, those 12 games in a row, you want to win the last game in Grayson Stadium. There's so much riding on it, as well as you get into that moment. And Jake Skoll, can you imagine? You hit a home run in the 9th. You then come up to bat. You hit another home run in theory, and then your team ends up scoring. You win the game. You're the showman of the night.
Yeah.
Final game in Grayson Stadium, a crazy win streak, and you're
so
the
bad.
hero.
Yeah.
Like, you want that moment. You want it so bad. But I definitely I love that like what you're saying about like the tension shows that it's a real sport and it's real competitive. I think overall the biggest thing that I think could be corralled in the future is like panning the camera away from some of that, because for looking in the comments, there were a lot of families that were saying like, hey, my kids are watching this, like it's a family friendly kind of escape for them, and so having some of those things on screen is not the greatest. But also I think they did a fantastic job of diffusing the situation, and kudos to the teammates, but also to Danny Hosley and Jake Skoll for like knowing enough to not go full out fist fight, because that would be not good for the brand.
I love watching fights in sports. It's so fun. Love bench clearing brawls in MLB. I love all that stuff. So obviously, I don't want that to happen because the Banana Ball brand needs to be kept safe. But man, a good brawl is just the best. As long as is okay afterwards. They should have had the water balloons out.
There you go.
Yeah, the fake fight that they had earlier this season. They should just have those on hand in case of this happens again. And so instead of, yelling some choice words, Danny Hosley should have just been tossed a water balloon and then he could throw it at Jake Skoll right then.
That would be an incredible way to end it. And yeah, if you're listening Banana Ball, I think that's the way to do it, is just have a bucket and so you just run
just
out.
In case.
And
yeah.
Just bring it out.
Yeah, open in case of
emergency.
Yeah, in case of fights.
Yeah, but I definitely think that if you weren't watching the game, you haven't listened to it, I would definitely go back and watch the post-game breakdown by Biko and Josh. They did such a good job of bringing in all of the background to the situation and explaining it back and forth. And one of the things I wanted to bring up from that was something that Josh said that I agree with, is overall, I think that, in my opinion, the party animals need to corral it in a little bit more and not incite it as much, because you definitely don't want some of that stuff to happen. But at the same moment, Danny Hosley as well. Like, it's on both sides, but definitely for the brand of Banana Ball, I'm glad that it didn't go any further. It was definitely interesting to see how it all played out, but especially for like the families watching and stuff, it's nice to keep it a little bit out of there.
Yeah, I can see how the party animals, they play the villain, and everyone's kind of has a character, and like in that way it's kind of is like professional wrestling, and so
Yeah.
like, to use a professional wrestling term, the party animals are the heel, and so they're like the villain, and so everyone, the majority of people right now, that's going to change as it becomes a league and everything, and these aren't exhibition games, but the majority of people are Bananas fans.
Yeah.
And so the party animals are the heel, or the villain to the Bananas, and they all kind of, they take that persona, and Drew Gillespie, his whole thing, like
the Imperial March.
Yeah, like he's the the villain, and so I can see how when you're kind of playing that character, tensions can raise a little bit as
Totally.
you've been that for so long. And um, yeah, so I
Yeah.
thought I I thought it was awesome. I agree with you. They should probably corral it in a little bit. But I love that the party animals are villains. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. I think that's something where then it can get dangerous because that is they have to kind of be a little bit showy with it, and so it's like where do you draw the line? And I think some of this might help them with that of like, okay, this might have been a little too far, but like keep going in this way and like some of that. And that's the nice thing is that they're still working out some of those kinks. But I definitely love Banana Ball for what it is, and I appreciate that they were able to kind of corral it in. But it was kind of funny to watch those moments of like okay, like what are the players thinking? And like they're like pulling him away and some of that. So it was definitely an interesting moment to watch.
I would love to see a breakdown of this by John Boy, where he does the lip readings and everything. Uh, for those of you that don't know, John Boy Media is they basically do stuff for the MLB, and but Jimmy O'Brien does breakdowns of plays and tense moments like this, or like managers coming up and yelling at umpires, stuff like that. And
Yeah.
he's really good at lip reading, and so I don't know, maybe we should send it over, and so we don't have to do it. But I want to see a breakdown of it where he does the lip reading and everything. It would be so funny.
Yeah, I think that would be good. The only problem I think is that actually they don't have enough footage to be able
Yeah,
to do
that's
that
true.
because they didn't show any of Jake Scholl's face in that moment.
Yeah,
And like they kind of panned it away and like, okay, now we're gonna dance. And versus like in the MLB when it's like a spitting match between the
yeah,
umpire and the coach, and they kind of show both camera angles and they can go back and forth a bunch.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's a good point. Yeah, but anyway, I just think that'd be funny.
yeah. So we a lot of times we break down the stats on here from bananaball.com/stats, and we make a graphic and we post it on our Instagram. This week, just definitely go check it out on our Instagram. We'll have the graphics up there. We display home runs, strikeouts, and trick plays, where the leaderboard is for the year, and then what happened this weekend to kind of showcase who had a hot weekend and kind of see where it goes from there. So check us out on Instagram. Give us a follow there, and we post some other stuff like that there. So
Yeah, Instagram's fun. I was off of Instagram for a very long time, but this has forced me to get back on. Uh, so yeah, it's been fun.
yeah, and then looking forward to this weekend, we got a really exciting thing coming up. The visitors are playing this weekend against the Party Animals in 3 games, and I'm so excited to watch
Poor guys.
this. I mean, okay, yeah. So let's break down the leaderboard
They're
really quick.
walking into a buzzsaw, especially with how
The last
the
game ended.
last game ended. The Party Animals are gonna win 8-0 in all 3 games.
It totally could happen. But yeah, so the Party Animals are up 28-18 on the year. They have a 10-game discrepancy there between wins and losses. The Bananas, 20 games on the winning side at 23 losses. Tailgaters, 3-6, and the Firefighters, 2-7. So every team has a losing record except for the Party Animals. Obviously, most of that was because the beginning of the season was just Party Animals versus Bananas. But yeah, the Party Animals are the hottest team. So like, if these, just saying, if the visitors can knock out the best team in baseball, you can guarantee that some of those players are going to make it into the teams next year.
Yeah, that's for sure. But I just don't see it happening.
I mean, you said that we said that about the Firefighters, and then they pulled it
Yeah,
off.
but now I'm really serious. I didn't mean it last time. This time I really mean it.
See, I have a thought though with that is like I could totally see the Party Animals stomping on them, but also Banana Ball is starting to get some traction. You're starting to get some of these kids that are at the top of their game coming straight out of college who are coming over to the Bananas versus there are some players on the Bananas that are on the higher end of the age range of some of these sports leagues. So you could see the only difference is going to be Banana Ball. Can they adjust enough to the Banana Ball stuff versus just pure baseball skill? I could see a world where they could beat the Party Animals at least in one of the games.
Yeah, Brandon's full of it. That's not going to happen. The Party Animals are going to sweep the visitors. The poor guys are never going to want to play Banana Ball again after this weekend. Just kidding. I'm excited for the new guys to show off what they're capable of. I'll be watching and I think that's something that we'll talk about next week is who were the standouts?
100%.
Who are the standouts on the visitors? Who would we want on our teams? And yeah, I think that would be a fun
Yeah.
conversation to have next week.
Yeah, so definitely tune in for that next week. Be sure to subscribe on whatever platform you're watching so you don't miss that. But we're also going to have the Firefighters play against the Savannah Bananas in Washington, D.C. So in the Nationals ballpark, they're going to be playing against them. It's a Savannah Bananas home game back in D.C. and the Tailgaters get a week off, so they'll come back swinging the next week. But yeah, I'm so excited to see the visitors and what they do and have some of those conversations about the standout stars and where we see them going from there.
Yeah, it's going to be a great weekend. This past weekend was great. Every weekend with Banana Ball is great, and we're here to break it all down for you all the time. So make sure that you subscribe, like, comment, tell us what your favorite moment was, all that stuff, and go party animals and firefighters.
Go visitors.
Good luck.